Well, folks, for our next speaker, who really for the long-term members here at the Chicago Resource Expo, now called Strategic Investment Insights, he needs no introduction. We're going to have Trevor Walker, who is the CEO of Frontier Lithium. And Trevor, it's a great pleasure to have you here with us, even virtually.
Yeah, really unfortunate couldn't be in person, but this is definitely the second best way to do it. But yeah, thanks for having me on. Really excited to reconnect here with you.
Well, you know, there's a reason, folks, why you see a beautiful panoramic view of Trevor's project on the cover of the program. This has been one of the great success stories over the years. Trevor, when you and Rich and Eric and I were talking before we started recording, we were all kind of reminiscing that your first trip to the expo was way back in 2010. And, you know, in those days, the market cap was a few $1,000,000. You were able to get a few people who were fortunate to act at the time as some early investors. And now, as you're going to show in one of your charts in a minute, Frontier has been one of the great success stories. It's been one of my best recommendations for quite a while. And you've gone from basically having a multi-asset, small fledgling exploration company to now one of the top couple or three lithium projects in the world in advanced exploration. A lot of great things happening. The market's starting to warm up to you. Instead of a few million market cap, you're 700 some odd million recently, and the story is still just unfolding. So first off, congratulations for all of your hard work, and then tell us you know, as you go through this, how you once stumbled across, you guys, this area that you have sometimes jokingly called a big area of moose pasture in Northwest Ontario, and now you've turned it through exploration and very efficient exploration with still, for all you've done, a relatively low share count, how you've turned it into one of the emerging premier lithium prospects on the planet.
Yeah, that's a loaded question, Chris, for sure. But you know, I think to start off, you know, it's like raising a child, the old saying that it takes an entire community. So we're again thankful. You know, this some of the participants that you've referenced here at the beginning of this chat. We're really grateful of the support that we received from yourself, Ridez family, and your clients and supporters from the show. So you know, we're really thankful. We really you know, the world started to change. I remember I've said this a couple times now over the past year. You know, I remember myself being 45 years old, you know, seeing a Sony Walkman in my hand, and really wondering, you know, why is it lasting 2 or 3 times longer than anything else that I had previous to that. So really the right vintage, and cognizant of new technology that's making improvements. So that was really the beginning of the mass use of lithium ion batteries. So around that time, that would be in the 90s, Sony, Panasonic started to utilize the technology. Jurisdictions around the world, in our case here in Ontario, through the Ontario Geologic Survey, started to look at their databases on, wow, where is their lithium and the potential for lithium. So it led to the Ontario government actually following up and on old samples taken from mapping, looking for gold where the project lies now in the 70s. So lo and behold, there was a discovery made by the Ontario government, which is now you know, the basis of the PAC Lithium project up in Northwestern Ontario. So it ended up through a prospector in the Sudbury region, through basically close contact with the company, and the prospector is really interested in the gold potential, but realized that there's something unique or particular unique with this pegmatite rock that was discovered. So it really sat dormant from that time in the late 90s until I got involved with the company when I was asked to join. So I joined the company late 2009 and early 2010, and really it was the spodumene. This is the mineral that contains the lithium on the project. It's the most revered mineral on the planet for the presence of the highest amount of lithium out of any mineral, and that caught my eye. So that was a key entrance point or interest or catalyst for me to join. So began, really cleaning up, back to your point, a company that was actually down to roughly $600,000, that's Canadian dollars, market cap. So for sure, it's been, quite the journey since then. But we repositioned the company. We divested it of gold assets, also in Northwestern Ontario, platinum palladium asset, also in Northwestern Ontario, and got focused on this because we really believed in the value proposition of the crossroads or utilization of metals with technology in the future. So we, through stroke of luck, have taken a very cautious but confident approach to move things forward. And back to your point, we've assembled a tier 1 resource, 4 discoveries, 2 of which are deposits outcropped at surface. So that's the little more than the quick and dirty story, but a little bit on the history anyways. So really fortunate to have great support from good shareholders and lots of patience. So
that's neat. Well, give us a quick lap through, the project, the presentation that you have here for us, and then hopefully after we get through that, we'll wrap up with a couple of questions and where things are at right now, including with some moves that both the provincial and federal governments have made lately.
Yeah, sure. Happy to. I'll definitely get through some slides and hopefully leave a bit of more time for more discussion. This is a tier 1 resource in that we've assembled. So it's roughly 180 kilometers. So roughly, if that'd be what, about 110 miles as the crow flies north of Red Lake, Ontario. And it's referenced as a tier 1 quality spodumene lithium resource globally. 4 discoveries, 2 of which are deposits outcropped at surface, amenable to open pit. Combines the 2 deposits located only about a mile and a half from each other, make up 42 million metric tons of roughly close to 1.6% lithium oxide grade. And that's all categories: measured, indicated, and inferred. Roughly half still under the inferred category. But that resource makes up North America's highest grade resource. So that's, top 2 globally for grade, and really low iron levels. And iron's a key proxy for impurities in this world of spodumene or lithium. So the potential to scale that is very large, very high on the project. So we have a really active year this year. We're excited to talk about here in a couple minutes. So through this success, we've managed to assemble roughly 27,000 hectares. So that'd be roughly 70,000 acres on our land package. Tremendous upside. We have not explored that land package. We've really stayed focused on the resource to date. So this year will be also some greenfields exploration. So pretty excited about that. In 2021, we put out a PEA on what we call fully integrated. So that's mine, mill, or concentrator to produce the feedstock concentrate, to then be shipped and fed to a conversion plant or a chemical plant to produce lithium chemicals required to make the materials for lithium-ion batteries. So when we did that, it's $1 billion US dollar NPV. And that was really around $13,500 pricing for lithium hydroxide. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a second on, what's happened around lithium chemical pricing and how does that affect us. So we've focused on, the aspect of the fact that we've got a high quality resource, that it really needs to be paired with the highest quality battery. So high nickel batteries, lithium ion batteries, are those for the higher end brands that can have the longer range. So as a result of that, we've done some work on lithium carbonate. We know that flow sheet really well. It's been utilized for a long time, based out of East Asia. We've done a lot of work on lithium hydroxide. So that's the chemical required for the high nickel cathode batteries. Great location, of course. We're at the front doorstep of the greatest market in the world. And, we reference ourselves as being proximal to and the anchor resource for the Great Lakes region of North America. So that's a tremendous opportunity, because we believe that the future is really about this deglobalization and creating local value or supply chains. So we really fortunate in the Great Lakes region to have such a high quality and large resource. So headquartered in Sudbury, Ontario, born and raised, and Ontario is really rich in mining, minerals, the critical minerals that the world has been talking lots about over the past 12 months, but really home to processing, refining, and also manufacturing, at the northern extents of the Otto Valley, up into Michigan, and southern Ontario as well. Again, that Great Lakes region, that's the richest manufacturing hub in the world for auto manufacturing. So wonderful, wonderful location and opportunity. We have a pretty tight registry, but the share price of the company, our main listings on the TSX Venture. So currently we're in around $3.40 Canadian, with a rough market cap of around $700 million Canadian. We raised about 22 million last year. Currently, there's about 18 million in the account, and we're gonna again have deploying much of those dollars over the coming months. So lots of activity out of Frontier ahead of us. There's roughly 209 million shares outstanding. The share price really has correlated very closely with global lithium chemical pricing. So, and it has since the initial channel samples that we put in to duplicate the government's work and then expand on that, back in 2012. So since that time, we've been recognized as a high potential, and again moving closely with lithium chemical pricing. So we've seen quite an appreciation in our price since early 2021. There's been spot pricing on chemicals right now. For example, there's a 7x on chemical pricing over the last 12 months for lithium. So it's been tremendous for companies such as ourselves with really good assets to move along. So we have a pretty tight registry. The skins in the game management maintains 25% position in the company. My family would be the largest. We're 20 of the 25%. We have a small presence of institutional investors, roughly 9%. We said no to most bankers that we met over the years. It's right place, right time, horses for courses, call it what you want. But, we've always had a sense of the potential that we had, and made sure that, we've done our best to control the dilution for shareholders. We're very much aligned with and will continue to be. So, we've always raised money as we need it, and that strategy, despite lots of volatility in the market, has served us really well. So I think we were the first company, Chris, that hit a $700 million market cap without any of the sophisticated analysts covering us. So outside, I know you've been a great supporter and stayed really close to management here, and have done a great job in really making sure that you've delivered the message to the market and what you saw with the company and the potential. To add to that support recently has been so we thank you for that. And to add to that support, lately has been Canaccord initiated coverage on us. The analyst is Katie LaChapelle. She initiated coverage February the 22nd and has in place a $4 price target on the company. Cormark Securities, based out of Toronto, Brandon Smith there has initiated on April the 11th, so pretty recently, on the company with a price target of $4.50 on the company. So what's really important is that by operating the way that we have, we always had a view on keeping things as close to home as possible. So, and that being, the US and Canada. So, it's fair to say with confidence that, the float through the shares through the general public is really maintained both in the United States and Canada. So this is a North American asset. We found a great asset. We've really tried to do a few things. Number one, find the critical mass on the asset in step and in time with where we find ourselves with the market and the understanding and the looming supply shortage for lithium with regards to the whole transition to batteries. We also have really waited, and it's by coincidence that there's been major capital expenditures with regards to government in the general region or vicinity of the project. So based on finding a great asset that really makes things happen, we backfilled essentially behind that asset on forming a senior mining board. So our intention is to build and operate a fully integrated company to produce lithium chemicals for the Great Lakes region. And we're pretty fortunate to attract, former CEO Steve Letwin, for example, from IAMGOLD to the board. Greg Mills has helped me on the capital market side. He's former managing director for RBC Cap Markets, 35 plus years. We have Mark Boisonneau, who actually lives here in Sudbury, where we're headquartered. He was former head of global nickel assets for Glencore. We are able to attract former Chief Bart Meekus, which is former Chief of Sandy Lake First Nation, a community that we have an agreement with that covers exploration up until the point of production on the board of directors. So it's really important to have regional representation on the highest level of decision making for Frontier from the area. So really lucky to have the guidance, everything from grassroots exploration to building and operating world-class mining projects, sitting on the leadership team here for the company. So really, really strong, on that spectrum where we needed to add some expertise. Very fortunate to attract on my executive team, Dr. Nijin Kao. He was former chief scientist for Tianqi Lithium for just shy of 10 years. So he joined the company about a year ago. So we've just been making leaps and bounds with regards to our progress regarding lithium specific work and design as a part of, especially in preparation for a PFS that we're looking to have out later this year. Just recently added a CFO. It's important for us to make those next steps onto the main board, and ambitions as well to get on one of the main boards down into the US. So just continue to add, you know, seasoned experience. We're so fortunate with a great asset to attract some top-notch and really good people that share the vision that we have here at the company. David Ewing, a VP, he was former Evolugen, a subsidiary of Brookfield. He was one of the key guys on taking that company as the first, I believe, in North America to be net zero from a carbon footprint and greenhouse gas perspective. So it gives you a good sense of where where we're headed. We need the right people, and in our case, there's really only a handful as well with lithium specific experience we've managed to attract. So shifting gears into the markets, the investments in North America has been just tremendous. Obviously, at the head of that is the investments that we've seen from the leader in the space with Tesla. But there's been a shift over towards the east at the southern tip of the Otto Valley. We've seen tremendous announcements from various Korean companies such as SK Innovation and LG Chem, as well as LGES. And that's actually crept, and we're talking into the multi-billion dollars of commitments to build the gigafactories, really, to produce the batteries that the auto OEMs of North America require. So recently here in the province of Ontario, and the latest announcement for North America was LGES and Stellantis. So they've got a joint venture. They've announced about a $4 billion US commitment to build a plant right at the border between Windsor and Detroit. So really excited to see that those investments continue to creep up into the north. So tremendous opportunity again in our region. So excited about contributing towards what's required to build and support this EV transition.
That's neat.
Yeah. I must be, I got to shift gears here quickly, Chris. I'll just talk a little bit about PAC and Spark, and, the two resources make up the highest grade, about 1.55, 1.6% Li2O. When I made a comment at the beginning, when we plugged in 20,000, current spot pricing on lithium chemicals, $70,000 US dollars a ton. It's tremendously high. It's too high. But when I plug 20,000 in, it doubles the NPV on our project. So we're pretty excited about the potential for the PFS coming. We look to have that out this fall. In particular, shooting for end of September delivery on that. The resource, also the two deposits are close to each other. There's another showing in between, and both those deposits are still open, so they're still larger. And there's another showing up to 600 meters long. So that's like 1,800 foot showing that's outcropped at surface as well. We haven't even drilled. So, right now we would be, top 3 in size just on an M&I basis in North America. By the end of this year, we believe we'll be the largest in North America. We brought a second drill to the site recently, and pretty soon both drills will be fired up and focused on mostly the Spark deposit, and then working from that. But overall, I believe what kind of potential, I really think there's 70 million tons plus open pitable in the long term in that specific project area where the resource is right now. So the mining lease area, let alone, the other 65 kilometers of strike length that we've got tied up there. And 35 kilometers away is a high grade showing of spodumene with the lowest iron. So the cleanest spodumene on the whole project is 35 clicks away. We have not explored yet. So the potential is really, really big. And, to close up my mini presentation here, we've talked about the third pillar of investment from the government. So there's 17 communities partnered with provincial and federal government to bring in hydroelectric power for the most part here in Ontario, but bring in high voltage lines to plug in the communities. In our area, there's 7 communities. So that project is referred to as the Wate Power Project. It's being built right now in our area. We're expecting that it'll be completed by the end of 2023. So, we're doing a lot of work now on roughly there's a primary access road that's being designed and permitted from a community that we have an agreement in place with, which would bring the road in roughly 3/4 of the way to our project. So pretty excited about that. It's virtually over half permitted. So we're looking at, what engineering and planning needs to take place as well from permitting perspective. So that's going to be a big part of our PFS that we're working on now. But again, it goes without saying how critical this project is. And we have lots of support from the Ontario and federal government here, especially with all the announceables that we've seen in North America, and in particular, even just in Ontario. So the support's there from the government. In terms of timeline, we look to deliver lithium chemicals in 2027. That's really what we're focused on. We think that's really good entry point. There's this, huge looming supply shortage or supply deficit. We're really skeptical on what, the market believes is going to come into production in the coming years. We're not convinced. So this is a meat and potatoes hard rock deposit, similar to the Greenbushes mine in Australia that up until 2 years ago supplied roughly half the world's lithium. So many are referencing this as the Greenbushes of North America. So, in conclusion, tremendous opportunity, deglobalization. The future is about it. If you have the opportunity and the way to compete is, the ability in a region to have the presence of and with the abundance of great mineral resources that we have here in Ontario, to see, extraction, processing, refining, and use, as well as market in close proximity. That is how we develop secure supply chains for the benefit of North Americans in our case. So we're really fortunate to have an anchor resource that really allows for all of this to take place, and all the added value and tremendous wealth that can be shared, from all stakeholders in the region. So really excited, and thanks for the time to walk through that.
Absolutely, Trevor, and you handled all that so well. I couldn't even think of a question to ask that you haven't answered already. You check all the boxes. This is one of the elite projects in the world, folks. We're thrilled that some of you, even in the audience here, got in early on this, but it ain't too late, because this thing still has its best days and probably best growth, share price and company-wise, ahead of it. So Trevor Walker, CEO of Frontier Lithium, thanks. Congratulations on a good job to date, and we're going to look forward to more of that.
Yeah, great. Thanks for your support, and we'll keep checking the boxes moving forward. So really appreciate it. We'll have a busy year. Stay tuned. Thank you.